Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. Hanging out with these nerds.
Nate the Nerdarch.
Nerdarch is Ted.
And today we have a GM 911 for you guys. We're going to be talking about a daddy-daughter date with D&D.
If you have a GM 911 and you'd like to submit them to us, you can send us over to us at nerdarchy@gmail.com.
First of all, I want to say this is fantastic that this father is come back to the hobby essentially because his daughter has shown interest in playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Bob is the one that sent this to us, and he's been a player since 2nd edition, and he stopped playing for whatever reasons. 5th edition, it's brought him back in, and now his daughter wants to learn. And he feels she's 11 years old. He feels that he wants to run a solo game with her, and combat is something that he's a little concerned about.
Running.
Yeah.
But it's not really that hard. Like, there's a formula in the Dungeon Master's Guide that tells you how to adjust the XP budget for building the encounters. But, the encounters are just going to be small. At first level, she might fight 2 kobolds, Mm-hmm. It might be a battle with a single goblin. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to be epic to be cool.
I would say one of the ways to make it more cool and epic would be to have her be able to do other things besides I swing my axe, I swing my sword. Because, especially with one person, you're most likely always going to be outnumbered in combats. So you're going to want to be able to do innovative things, drop bookshelves on people, stuff them in barrels, do like all kind of weird, crazy stuff, drop chandeliers on them, or, drop a collapsing wall, or like all this kind of stuff. You basically like using your environment and using your creativity in that environment to do interesting things that still win the encounter.
This is also an 11-year-old, so I might do things like have the goblins, have them chasing the goblin around the wagon, and one slips under, comes over to trip them and stuff like that, where it's non-lethal type stuff, but maybe comical and a little bit funny. I'd have a little more. I'd probably have a lot more fun with it.
The other thing to factor in is, as a DM, you're going to have to be thinking on your toes, because if you're rolling your dice out in the open, it absolutely has the ability to go wrong quickly. That's like, I wasn't expecting that crit, or the player to be missing 3 rounds in a row while the monster's hitting.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you're assuming that every combat has to be lethal, and you have to kill the player or kill the monster, which they're also viable options, because Bob has said over and over again in his email that he doesn't want to patronize his daughter, and he doesn't want her to feel like she's being treated with kid gloves, and she doesn't want that either.
Well, I wasn't saying, things have to be lethal, but I was saying, like, all right, if the combat goes sideways, what are you doing? Is she going to be taken prisoner? Is she going to be left for dead?
Oh, like options besides you bleed out and die?
Yes.
Your quest is over.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and that's all you really do. It's not. I don't think that's really that big of an issue. I mean, seems like easy enough to address.
Some DMs, they aren't prepared to deal with that, so I'm just putting that out there. Be prepared.
Yeah, have like a little page of what all the encounters I'm going to do this week or whatever, or however frequent they end up playing. Because when you live with the person you play with, you can kind of just be like, you want to play for an hour? Sure. Yeah. So I'd have different ways of getting out of scenarios, or this is a good time to introduce this NPC. So if they'll either meet on the trail, or the NPC will be there to deal with whatever fallout happens from the combat.
Or Bob, if you don't want her to feel like you're taking it easy on her, just kill her character over and over again until she gets better. Just saying, it's an option. It's in the game.
My vote's still for creative ways of winning encounters rather than just rolling the dice.
Yeah, I really feel like, I don't know why GMs struggle so much with the idea of playing with 2 players or 1 player. To me, it's just a matter of you're just going to fight weaker monsters. The beautiful part about this is a 10th level character could fight a group of orcs, a band of orcs, and still have it be a fun, interesting encounter because he's by himself. Right. Mm-hmm. So you get to enjoy your monsters that much longer.
And he did talk about buying the modules to kind of look at them and see, kind of gauge what what's expected for a 4-person party. And I have to say that I've played some of the Dragon Queen, and it was a lot of fighting, and it was hard, and there was 5 people, and it was still hard and a lot of fighting. So.
Yeah, it just boils down to what kind of game you want. And also, why not, like, in the middle of combat, why not start parlay, whether you do or the enemy does. Try, if he wants to try and instill, like, his daughter to be more creative, because he brings that up as well, is, she could try talking her way out of it even after it started. I have a piece of information. Or the enemy could do the same thing. So these are all options. There's no reason why it always has to be a combat fest. Why combat can only have one direction that it can move in, and one side dies or the other side dies. There should be all these other branches that you can go down and explore within the game.
And when you're working with one person, you're going to have smaller opposition normally on the other side. So if there's going to be 10 goblins in a 4-person party encounter, you're going to have maybe 2.
Yeah.
Well, if you take out one of them, the other one's going to be like,
Yeah, I'm out.
my odds just halved. So do I run away? Do I try and bargain with this person? I have information. Like you were saying, there's a greater chance of that than in a 4-person party. You might just slaughter the rest of the people in the last bit, and there's no one to talk to us with corpses here.
Well, even go back to Ted's example. If you've been missing for 3 rounds and they're not, retreat is still a viable option.
Yeah.
Same thing if you just got crit, that's a lot of damage that the character took, and as the GM, you may, with a new player, you may want to throw that option out there. Like, you don't have to fight to the death if because if they hit you like that again, you're going to die. Do you want to continue fighting, or do you want to run away? Like, it is okay, especially with a younger player, to put out different options, to go, hey, this is how things are going at this point. Especially, there's only 2 of you, right? So you're not holding anybody else back at the table. You're not really slowing down the game, because that is the game, you and the other person. So you can go, look, you have all these options you can do. You can try and make a deal with them now and talk to them. You can run away. You can try a crazy trick and push the bookshelf down on them, or something. So there is no constraint in that regards where you have to, like, share the spotlight with a bunch of people when you're playing with one person. In some ways, it's easier, and you're just going to tell a different kind of story.
And eventually, if you do the suggestion thing, eventually she'll work on it herself. And if you just mention there's something around, she'll be like, "Oh, I might want to use that."
And not only that, I feel like kids are more apt to do crazy things that you wouldn't, that you wouldn't think of. See, us as adults are kind of set in our ways, and we're like, oh, the rules, the abilities, stuff like that. You're gonna we're gonna box ourselves in, where a kid might just surprise you. So, let this kid fly. Congratulations on DMing for your daughter. That's awesome. My daughter was not that into it, but I did get my son, and so that's kind of cool. You guys, how do you handle solo campaigns? How would you handle a campaign for a youngster? I think Boris Stremlin has a younger daughter he also runs games for. I'm not sure what age she's in, if it's high school or younger. But anyway, we have a place in the comments below where you guys can drop those suggestions, as well as like, share, and subscribe.
While you're at it, you can check out the other articles at nerdarchy.com.
Or you can tweet at us at Nerdarchy.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.